Welcome back to Dubbzi Bricks for another episode of Building Gotham City in Lego. After several weeks of working on Arkham Asylum, I decided I want to have a change of scenery, and I decided to go back to looking at the police cars that will be whizzing around Gotham City. This is the previous car that we made, and I think it's a little bit too sporty for Gotham City. I will probably keep this in there in some capacity, but I want to do something that's more in keeping with the Crown Vic police car, as you see on screen here now. So let's get the thinking cap on, let's get some bricks out, let's see what we can create that's more like the Crown Vic. And the experimentations have started with the build of the car, and I'm looking at making it 7 studs wide. Being an odd number is quite difficult, and I'm just wondering whether or not this is going to be odd, this is going to be even, then join them together using a jumper plate. This is the police car that came in the Lego Batman movie Arkham Asylum set, which I really like. However, it's a little bit boxy. I'm sure we can do a lot more details with something like this. So I'm going to try and make my own version of a police car, and it'd be a mixture between this and the Crown Vic, because I do love the Crown Vic car on there. But I'm thinking with the window pieces I have, which are these two here, I'm not convinced I can get it looking how it needs to be. So this is going to be quite the challenge, trying to come up with a police car that we're happy with. And we've made a start on the car here, and I'm approaching this build in a totally different way to any car that I've built for Gotham City before. Previously, I've built the chassis and then I've built the body around it. However, this time I wanted to concentrate on getting the looks how I want them to be. The bonnet looking exactly right, the window where I want it to be. I think it's just going to be that little bit easier to start off this way and then build the chassis afterwards. So on here, we've got our 7 stud wide bonnet. I've attached the 6 wide windscreen piece on here using the 3 long jumper plates here. So I've got 6 studs of connection on there. The wheel arches, they're in the right place. So now I can just concentrate on getting the looks I want to have. It's going to get a little bit more complicated on the doors. I just want to have some cheese wedges on the bottom to get the nice angle that I want on there. And just when I thought I'd come up with an idea I was happy with, it went wrong. So I had this piece just here, and I thought if I attach it to the bottom, it's just going to be making the stud step out just a fraction there, which is what I was after. However, when you get a piece and you try to stick it to this, it's too close to that part just there. So we're going to have to scrap that idea. So if I just take these pieces off just here, what I'm going to do now instead is actually use this piece here. And what we'll do is we'll put the plate on the center part here, so that's flush with the bottom of those. Then what I can do is get these parts just here, and I can attach it. So you've got the curved edge pointing downwards. Now there's a whole stud there, so I can attach anything I like onto it, like a brick, for example, and I've got the same effect as before. And also it's not going any further down. They don't come any further out here, so I can brick along all the way there. I could have used the snot brick, but then I wouldn't be able to plate across this part. So I think this is the perfect piece for me to be using. And luckily enough, I've got a whole load of these off of the pick a brick wall. So let's carry on building at the base of the car up, and I'll check back in once we've made a little bit more progress. And here we have the chassis of the car, and put the snot bricks on here. So we've got snot bricks, then the round edges snot bricks, and then these are also snot bricks, which have got studs on both the sides there as well as on the front. So that's worked out wow. It's made it nice and sturdy. The only problem I've got here is the height of the floor inside the car here. I want to put a jumper plate in to get the studs offset. That way I can fit 2 passengers, or a driver and a passenger, in the front of the car, but then they're up a little bit too high. So I just need to try and find a way of getting the level back down again. Hopefully there will be a solution to this, as otherwise I'm just going to have to sit the driver and on the seat, actually on the studs here, and then I won't have enough room for 2 people. But yeah, there's got to be a solution to this somehow. Working on odd number studs is making it a little bit more difficult than if I was just doing an even number, but by having it 7 studs wide, the overall vehicle width is 8 studs, which is the maximum I want to go to. So let's carry on experimenting and see if we can find a solution to the problem. And it's decision time with this build. I'm not liking how it's coming along, and it's mainly because these parts here stick out a little bit too much, and I can't work out how to get them tucked in anymore. I replaced the bricks at the bottom with plates, and that was just so I could get the minifigure to sit in low enough so that the hat wasn't going to be hitting the roof. And yeah, it's just not going along how I want it to look. So I'm just going to take a step back and have another think about how I'm going to make this car look once it's all built up. And I think one of my New Year's resolutions is going to be to make more Speed Champion sets. I'm really struggling with the whole car build here, trying to get it looking exactly how I want it to be. At the moment, I'm struggling to get it looking just right. It seems to be way too much clearance under the wheels. So I'm just wondering whether or not it would pay me to lose a row of plates just here to help bring the top section down. The window angles as well, that's something else I'm struggling with at the moment. So just going to carry on playing around with this, and fingers crossed we're finally going to find a look that we're happy with. So we put a bit of detail on the front here, and I've been messing around with the front of this for so long now. And yeah, I think it's having the odd stud numberage, which is what's caused me half the problems here. I can't put grills on there like I would on, say, this one just here. With this one here, having 4 studs available, it just works out a little bit better. And part of me was wondering whether I should just colour swap this out and try to make a modification of it, improve it. So, but with that, I must admit, I did think the window was a little bit too tall. So I'm going to persevere with this one. Hate the wheels on here. We'll cover that bit a little bit later. But let's carry on working on the front section here and start trying to work out how we're going to be going about the back here. For me, this has got very much of a BMW look, an old sort of like 80s or 90s BMW, which isn't the look I'm after with this build. But yeah, certainly proven to be quite the challenge. And here we have the bodywork, pretty much how I'm going to have it for the time being. This is a build I think that I will continue to work on over time. There is something about it I'm not 100% happy, whether it's the windscreen, I'm not sure. I have tried numerous different ones, and this is the best combination that I've come up with. Now, it would have been nice to have had the car looking like a Crown Vic, but I couldn't do it, unfortunately. I did see some online, but they didn't have minifigures in there. You need a more sloped windscreen at the front and on the back. And yeah, it just didn't work out on this occasion. But yeah, as I said, we'll carry on experimenting. Hopefully one day we'll come up with a different design for the police cars. But it's nice to have something different in Gotham City other than the sporty version we had before. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add all of the final details onto here, like the bumper at the front here, the grills, lights on the back of the car, the rear bumper, and the lights that will go across the top of the vehicle. So let's get all that sorted, and I'll show you what it looks like once I've done it. And there we have it. We finally managed to finish our new police car. I'm happy with how it's come out. I ended up shortening the wheelbase by 1 stud, and I think that made a massive difference. Once I'd lowered it down as well, that worked. I did end up putting another plate between the wheel connection and the actual body of the car as well, so there's a little bit more clearance there. So whereas this one, the wheel arch is very close to the wheel, we've got a little bit of a gap there, and again, I think that helps massively with the overall look. I was going to go for a longer rear end on here as well, but I think this works out perfectly. I don't want the cars to be too big in the city. The bigger the car, the smaller the city is going to feel. Now, there are more details that I will eventually put on here, like the numbers on the back, and I am thinking about a couple of other details, like maybe a torch coming out the front there, so when the police car pulls up, they can shine the light onto any potential crimes that may be going on. I also need to find out some 1x1 tiles to cover where those studs are just there, and we've got the same problem on the back just there. I'm definitely going to do a lot more Speed Champion builds in the 2026, just so I can learn some more techniques on how to build a decent car. This one was really difficult going for 7 studs wide, because I have this part here at 7 studs, but the middle part is 6 studs, and using the bracket then brings it out to match the width of the vehicle. So it was very difficult to connect the middle to the 2 ends. And on the bottom here, I've got one of these inverted slopes here, and I put a jumper plate on the top of it there, which is then going to be down to the odd studdage, so then I could connect it to this part. So yeah, it's quite interesting getting that all to work. We put the exhaust on the back there as well, which I think just adds a little bit more detail, but I think it's going to look completely different once I've worked out what stickers or printed tiles, if I can find some, like with police on here and a number there. I think that's just going to finish the build off nicely. So yeah, I will be making a few more of these once I've worked out what parts I need, so I think it'd be good to have several of these around Gotham City. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Gotham City in Lego, if you can share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for stopping on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.